Hello, and today we will be looking at frequency distribution tables. Frequency distribution tables. What do we mean by frequency distribution tables? Well, these are tables that lets you organize data. So let's say, for example, let me start off with something simple. Let's say that in a classroom, or actually in a school, inside a school, we have 10 teachers, and 50 students. Okay, and a way to kind of organize this into a frequency distribution table, you can do it like this. So we can say people over here and frequency over here. So by people, I mean the different kinds of people that are in the school. And if you look at our data here, there are two kinds of people, teachers and students. So under people, we're going to have teachers and students. And frequency means how much or how many or how often something is happening. So in this case, it's going to be how many. So there are 10 teachers and 50 students. And usually in a frequency table, we have an additional segment in the bottom that tells you the total. So how many total people are there? And in this case, there are 60. So to get the total, you just add all the values that are here. Okay, so this is an example of a very simple frequency table. Okay, another example would be at a grocery store. At a grocery store, we have bananas, or 12 bananas. We have 10 apples and 7 peaches. And you can organize this into a frequency table as this. So the top part, you are labeling the information, what kind of data we're dealing with. And the second part, it's usually the frequency. So there are bananas, and there are 12 of those. Apples, there are 10 of those. And peaches, there are 7 of those. And again, at the bottom, we can include the total. How many total fruits are there? And there are 29 fruits. Okay, and sometimes, so this is an example of a very simple frequency table. And the simpler frequency tables are easier to make, but they don't give us that much information. Okay, so for example, going back to our school here, we can categorize the people into teachers and students, right? But we can also categorize them into male and female. So let's say that inside this group of 10 teachers, we have 4 male teachers and 6 female teachers. Inside this group of 50 students, we have, let's say, 24 males and 26 female. Okay, so we have additional information, and we can include this information into our frequency table. So how is that going to look like? Let me actually draw a dotted line here just to separate these two things here. Okay, these two are not related. Okay, so instead of having the people and frequency like this, we're going to have gender on one side, because that's the information that we have. And then, let me say position. I think position might have been a better label here instead of people. Okay, so under position we have teachers and students. And under gender we have male and female. Okay, and then let's divide our table up like this. Okay, so in our first section here, we're going to be looking at male teachers, right? Male teachers, and there are 4 male teachers according to our data. And the second slot here, we are looking at female teachers. There are 6. Down here, we're looking at male students. There are 24. And over here, we have female students. There are 26. Okay, so a way of if you categorize it like this, not only do you know how many teachers and how many students there are, but you can also see how many male and how many female there are at the school. Okay, and on the side here, again, we're going to be putting the total. So for this total right here, you're adding up this way to get the total here, this way to get the total here. For the total down here, you're adding this way to get the total here, and this way to get the total here. So if we're looking at this total right here, we're adding across. 4 plus 6 is 10. And over here, 24 plus 26 is 50. Down this way, 4 plus 24 is 28. Again, down this way, 6 plus 26 is 32. Okay, so what do each of these total mean? So first of all, this one right here, what do you think that means? What did we just add? We added the male and the female teachers, right? So this would be the total number of teachers. And you can kind of see that because if you go just straight across, this is the label teachers. It's the total number of teachers. How about this right here? What is this the total of? We've added male students and female students. And again, if you go just straight across this way, you'll see that this is the label for students. Okay, so this is the total number of students. How about this down here? What did we add here? We added male teachers and male students, right? So this would be the total number of male. And if you go straight up this way, you'll see that that's the label that corresponds. And here we've added female teachers and female students. So this means the female, the total number of female in at the school. And if you go straight up, that you'll see that label right there. Okay, so if you make a frequency table like this, not only do you know the total number of teachers and students, or the ratio of teachers and students, but you can also see the ratio of male and female if you look at the bottom of these two. And right here, oops, let me say, right here, we write the grand total, how many total people. So to get the total here, you can either add this way, or you can either add this way, but don't do both. Okay, so if you add this way, you'll get 60. If you add this way, you'll also get 60. Right? If you add vertically or horizontally, you can get 60. But some people, they do 60 this way and then 60 that way, so they add the two 60s together. Don't do that. Just add one column or one row. You can add the column and get the number, and check if you got the number right by adding the rows. Okay, you should get the same number, either by adding the column or the row. Okay, so this is called a frequency distribution table. And it's important that you know how to make or how to draw a frequency table given data. And also, given a frequency table like this, you need to know what the meaning of each of this data is. So what does this data right here mean? Okay, what does this data mean? What does this data mean? And so on. You need to be able to read frequency distribution tables. Okay, and to close this video, I'll just go through a few terminology associated with frequency distribution table. So if you look at the margins here, so if you look at these values right here and these values right here, these are called marginal frequencies because they are on the margin, right? They're on the margin of the frequency table. And the inside here, this data here, that's called the joint frequency. Okay, so we've joined a lot of different frequencies inside. And finally, this total right here. So because if we just say total, it's going to be confusing because these are also totals, right? The marginal frequencies are also totals. So to refer to this final total right here, we call this the grand total. So grand total is basically the sum of all the data that we have in the joint frequency.